Welcome, everybody, to the Urantia book. You are about to hear the most advanced words on the planet, hands down. And not only that, every time you listen to these words, you are showing the universe that you are prioritizing your higher nature above your lower nature. And in doing so, much more greatness and goodness will come to you. So, we are going to look at a part that we started a little bit on yesterday when we were doing our random flip through, reality of religious experience. And when we read these words, ask yourself, is this the most advanced words on the planet? Is this synthesizing everything that has been written by man and then even beyond things that haven't been? So this is philosophic coordination. We're going to read and talk about it. Make sure that you like and subscribe. We actually got over 200 subscribers, so that's a little bit of a milestone, but we need to go much bigger than that. So let's get the word out there. Philosophic coordination. Theology is the study of the actions and reactions of the human spirit. It can never become a science since it must always be combined more or less with psychology in its personal expression and with philosophy in its systematic portrayal. Theology is always the study of your religion. The study of another's religion is psychology. So that's brilliant because they're putting the ball in your own court for your own religious experience. This book is very much pointing out the importance of the personal religious experience, not so much the group think, because they're saying you have a personal, real relationship with God that is like a spoke on a wheel. God being the center hub of the wheel, and everybody around him is the spoke. We're all looking towards the same center point, but you're looking at it from a different vantage and a different viewpoint. So that's why the study of another person's viewpoint is you're just able to study their psychology. You're not able to accurately measure their inner spiritual experience. And in doing so, that will give us a lot more tolerance of another's viewpoint or opinion. But the unity there being that we're all looking at the same center hub. Remember, unity, not uniformity. When man approaches the study and examination of his universe from the outside, he brings into being the various physical sciences. When he approaches the research of himself and the universe from the inside, he gives origin to theology and metaphysics. The later art of philosophy develops in an effort to harmonize the many discrepancies which are destined at first to appear between the findings and teachings of these two diametrically opposite avenues of approaching the universe of things and beings. Okay, so they're saying this philosophy is this coordinator because we all have had the experience. We look from the outside of the universe. Okay, well, that tree is growing. Why is that growing? All right, well, that's physical sciences, right? But then we look from the inner experience. You say, wow, I really love that tree. Why do I love that tree? It's beautiful. Well, what is beauty? Why isn't that, dead garbage beauty or something like that? And so then we have to try to come up with some sort of philosophy in order to diametrically opposite, merge these. Okay. Religion has to do with the spiritual viewpoint, the awareness of the insideness of human experience. Man's spiritual nature affords him the opportunity of turning the universe outside in. It is therefore true that, viewed exclusively from the insideness of personality experience, all of creation appears to be spiritual in nature. Okay, so if you're just saying there's no such thing as measuring things with yardsticks and blah, 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 there's only my inner experience, you could get really off into wacko world with all these different theories and ideas about it's a simulation or whatever. And, so they're saying, well, we'll read on to see what they say. When man analytically inspects the universe through the material endowments of his physical senses and associated mind perception, the cosmos appear to be mechanical and energy material. Such a technique of studying reality consists in turning the universe inside out. So there is maybe an atheist person who saying, I'm going to ignore my own inner experience and just call it atoms colliding or, neurons in the brain and things. And there's literally no spiritual experience. So then everything becomes a mechanistic, cold universe with the reward for your life of toiling being an infinite dirt nap. All of your relatives are just gone, and that cold view that somebody would have of a non-spiritual universe. Okay, so they're talking about the opposites there. A logical and consistent philosophic concept of the universe cannot be built up on the postulations of either materialism or spiritism, for both of these systems of thinking, when universally applied, are compelled to view the cosmos in distortion, the former contacting with a universe turned inside out, the later realizing the nature of a universe turned outside in. Never then can either science or religion, in and of themselves, standing alone, hope to gain an adequate understanding of the universal truths and relationships without the guidance of human philosophy and the illumination of divine revelation. Okay, super searing, because we'll see why, but that basically is just saying, everybody wants to be on one side or the other. Okay, they're saying, your science atheist people just have closed off any door to religion, and then you're, let's say you're born again Christian or whatever. And I don't want, those aren't the bad guys here. I'm not trying to point anybody out as being the bad guys. I'm saying we're in a learning experience, so it's okay to look at somebody's set of beliefs and say maybe they need to incorporate more from the other person. Maybe they need to incorporate evolution because they're closing off to science, and maybe science needs to incorporate the inner experience. Always must man's inner spirit depend for its expression and self-realization upon the mechanism and technique of the mind. Likewise, must man's outer experience of material reality be predicated on the mind consciousness of the experiencing personality. Therefore, are the spiritual and the material, the inner and the outer human experiences always correlated with the mind function and conditioned as to their conscious realization by the mind activity. Man experiences matter in his mind. He experiences spiritual reality in his soul, but he becomes conscious of this experience in his mind. The intellect is the harmonizer and the ever-present conditioner and qualifier of the sum total of mortal experience. Both energy things and spirit values are colored by their interpretation through the mind media of consciousness. If a human wrote that, I would like to meet that man or woman. But they didn't. Okay, so that's just saying the mind is where these things synthesize. That's what you have power and choice over. Okay? But in making those power and choices in that mind, then you can do things like you can manipulate your physical environment. You can invent something, a machine or something like that. And then you can also manipulate your spiritual environment through those mind choices. And what's the biggest one? Faith. That is a mind choice, but then it sets out a whole entire series of spiritual events. Your difficulty in okay, this is a really good paragraph here. Your difficulty in arriving at a more harmonious coordination between science and religion is due to your utter ignorance of the intervening domain of the morcha world of things and beings. I'll stop right there. The morcha is a term that they are introducing in this book, which we don't have a concept for so far. This is a revelation, this morcha idea. They talked about it earlier in the book, but to bring it up again. So this intervening domain of the morcha. The local universe consists of 3 degrees or stages of reality manifestation: matter, morcha, and spirit. The morcha angle of approach erases all divergence between the findings of the physical science and the functioning of the spirit of religion. Religion is the understanding technique of the sciences. Faith is the insight technique of religion. Moda is the technique of the morcha level. Okay, so there's that term. Moda now is that's the technique of morcha. So you can kind of link those in your mind, Moda and morcha. Moda is a supermaterial reality sensitivity which is beginning to compensate incomplete growth, having for its substance knowledge, reason. Okay, let me say it again. Having for its substance knowledge, reason, and for its essence faith, insight. Moda is a super philosophical reconciliation of divergent reality perception, which is non attainable by material personalities. It is predicated, in part, on the experience of having survived the material life of the flesh. But many mortals have recognized the desirability of having some method of reconciling the interplay between the widely separated domains of science and religion. And metaphysics is the result of man's unavailing attempt to span the well-recognized chasm. But human metaphysics has proved more confusing than illuminating. Metaphysics stands for man's well-meant but futile effort to compensate for the absence of the moda of morcha. Wow. This paragraph says so much. Let's try to break this down a little bit. I know this video might go a little long, but this is just really important. Oh yeah, make sure you like and subscribe too. I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay. So now, okay, so you have to, once you understand this third intermediate level, all right, well, actually second if you're looking at it in a ladder sequence, material, then morcha, and then spiritual, okay? Reason is how you understand the material, your logic, your science, blah, blah, blah. Faith, insight is how you're going to understand your religion and your spiritual, right? Faith and insight, that inner meditation, that saying, I'm going to believe in something. There's got to be something more out there, God, you know, give me a sign, whatever. That is your spiritual. But then how do you combine, or how do you settle those two opposite things? Well, there's this super material reality. Now it's saying that it's impossible. Where is it? It says it's impossible for a non, or okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Right here. Okay. Non-attainable by material personality. So we, as material beings, we don't attain morcha, but the spiritual aspect of us can attain, we will attain it. It is our destiny. The entire next phase of our universe career after this life is a morcha life. And it's that intervening gateway between man, the material, and man, the spiritual. So the real worlds, the real planets, but it's just a different level of existence. And there's personalities you associate with your loved ones, but you're very far from heaven still at that point, because there's just so much more learning that needs to be done in the universe before you can attain the central God. So we're not there now, but we can have insights into that through our spiritual understanding, right? Because we're not just material personalities. We're indwelt by a spirit being, a spirit essence. And through contacting that spirit essence by choice in the arena of mind, the mind arena of choice, then we can attempt, or we can even have glimpses of the morcha. And they say that some beings have even attained the morcha while on this planet, but then they just get taken off the planet because they've done everything that they need to here. And that's a technique of leaving the planet. They call it translation. And in fact, they say that in most normal worlds, at this point in the world's growth and progress, most of the beings are leaving by translation. Most of the human beings are not dying and moving on to the next stage. They do a thing, in the East, they call it conscious dying. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that term. But they say that some of these really advanced monks just take a meditative pose and they simply just leave their bodies permanently. They say that I've done everything that I need to here. So that is that other technique, translation. And then you're attaining the morcha level, and then your physical body just dissolutes, and then you're just, advanced beyond that. But now, here is the other important aspect about this thing. It says, where was I? Okay. It is predicated in part on the experience of having survived the material life in the flesh. All these people out here with all these ideas, maybe they're materialist, atheist, agnostic. Geez, I don't know. Imagine what being resurrected on the next world will do for them. They have lived this life. They're conscious of the fact that they lived this life. And then they're conscious, oh my God, I died, but here I am again in another world. I wasn't believing in this. Why was I given the ability to come into this world? I thought you had to have faith. Well, that's the mercy. That's where mercy comes in. And that's a thing that man's Christianity is. They don't understand that mercy extended even beyond the first short life in the flesh. You can be resurrected even if you don't get it together here and start your faith journey here because of this thing called Urantia, Moda. Once somebody is resurrected, holy shit, that's going to totally change their whole concept of the realities of spirituality. It might not prove that there's a central God. They're still going to have that faith journey in order to say, oh yeah, there's a central God, but they're going to say, well, I was damn sure wrong about there just being that material dirt nap after death, because here I am. Here's my personality alive and functioning. And so just that fact alone, being resurrected by mercy. And so why would God want to deprive somebody of their ability to choose or send them to an eternal hell before he just says, well, I'll resurrect you. And now do you have a different tune? I'll give you mercy and I'll resurrect you here on this other side. And that would do, oh my God, so many people that I know would just totally change their whole entire viewpoint and opinion when they wake up on that shores of that Urantia world. Let's continue on here. Metaphysics has proved, Metaphysics has proved a failure. Moda, man cannot perceive. Okay, man alone can't perceive it, but you can start to have glimpses. It's almost like it's that thing that you can reach off for. When you become more spiritual, you can almost grasp it. Okay, maybe whatever. Okay, but here's the other thing. Metaphysics has proved a failure. Let's talk about metaphysics. We touched on this yesterday. Metaphysics, as they say, it's well-meaning but futile effort because of the confusion of it. If you, for instance, let's look at somebody called Paramahansa Yogananda. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It is an Indian guru. And again, nobody from any other religion is the bad guy or anything like that. So I'm just going to critique. This person is a metaphysician, and his books are about metaphysics, a super advanced being, well more advanced probably than I am right now. Or probably anybody that I know, just spend his whole life meditating and astral traveling and leaving his body and that sort of thing. But the books they're very, in order to kind of go along with his program, you have to be a metaphysician. And not everybody is a metaphysician. When I look at some of my non-spiritual friends or family and stuff like that, they're not going to get into where the knotty points intersect in your body or the chakras and stuff like that. That's why the simple message of Jesus being faith and brother and sisterhood of all humans is applicable to everybody. You don't need to be a metaphysician. And I'm not saying that the metaphysics, there's not a reality to it, but it's confusing. It's not really synthesizing because there's a lot of half-truths in there. And so that's why it's not the thing. It's man's attempt. Man said, I have to somehow bridge this gulf between man the material and man the spiritual. So, well, maybe this metaphysical experience that I'm having is the bridge, but it's not... like I said, you have to be a metaphysician in order to, which is difficult. There's a lot there. Metaphysics has proved a failure. Moda, man cannot perceive. Now, here's the key to this whole thing. Revelation is the only technique which can compensate for the absence of truth sensitivity of Moda in a material world. Revelation authoritatively clarifies the muddle of reason developed metaphysics on an evolutionary sphere. So what is revelation? Well, this book is the 5th epochal revelation. And you can also have revelations inwardly to yourself. That's called an auto-revelation. But that's unearned knowledge. That's the divine giving you answers and forms that everybody can understand, like reading a book. Science is man's attempted study of his physical environment, the world of energy matter. Religion is man's experience with the cosmos of spirit values. Philosophy has been developed by man's mind effort to organize and correlate the findings of these widely separated concepts into something like a reasonable and unified attitude toward the cosmos. Philosophy, clarified by revelation, functions acceptably in the absence of Moda and in the presence of the breakdown and failure of man's reason substitute for Moda, metaphysics. Early man did not differentiate between the energy level and the spirit level. It was the violet race and their Andite successors who first attempted to divorce the mathematical from the volitional. This is getting into more Greeks and Sumerians and stuff like that. Let's just call it there. Thanks everybody for listening. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about the Urantia book, specifics, and then please like and subscribe, share the videos. Let's get it out there. Let's get our community growing here, and we'll go into some more things tomorrow.